another post I'll write about the defined debrief protocol that I typically use and we use in my department at the end of a day to debrief, or after a professional learning opportunity, or even midway through, to get on the same page. And the 4 steps are: F for facts. You have everybody whip around and recall a fact. And I for internal connections, so emotions or memories, things that were triggered on the inside that your colleagues wouldn't know unless you shared. And then we also have N for new ideas and insights, things that you learn, so scaffolding up to Bloom's taxonomy to synthesis. And then D stands for decisions, like what are you committing to do because of our time together. Like, it's great to have an idea or something new occur to you, but if you're not going to take any action, then we should question the value of the interaction. So the thing I want to talk about is facts, and how hard it is to get people to recall facts. Because I'm an English teacher by training and by experience, I often recite the line like, hey, if you're not able to recall a fact, or if you say something you learned, or like it was amazing, or I was frustrated, or this is great, I'm going to say, well, what evidence leads you to that conclusion? And so that's usually a pretty safe way to get people more on target with recalling a fact. When we're in a group and we have experience together as adults, and then we start to process it, where people, I think we're taught to strive for the most important part is the synthesis. And the most important part is that breakthrough, or that aha. And I think because we do it, I've seen it, over the last 15 years of staff development and engaging in professional learning experiences with my colleagues. I'm sure if we do that, we are putting that onto the students. And so I guess the question to me is, why don't we value the other realms quite as much? I think there's a lot of poo-pooing about, hey, recall is very low level and that's not critical thinking, and I understand that. But taking time to share facts, like things that we noticed that we're not going to argue about whether they happened or not, but just things that stood out to us, that really tells us something about what people are perceiving and remembering. And then the other part is the emotional content, or the emotional resonance of an experience. I really think that Maya Angelou quote about, people won't remember what you told them or did, but they'll remember how you made them feel. I really think that's true. And so taking time to process the emotion of an event and ask people, I think in a structured speaking engagement or a structured speaking way is more productive than just saying, well, how do y'all feel? Because the whole audience will go, yeah, good, or whatever, or the people who don't feel good will be quiet. So I think it's really important to whip around and have everybody acknowledge one emotion. And it really does a lot for people who aren't feeling good, can say, I don't feel good, and it's okay. That's part of being together. We don't always feel good together. And then you also allow some of what Daniel Goleman talks about. I don't like his term contagion, but the emotional contagion of like people who are really excited, enthusiastic, and you let them express that, it spreads. And people are like, oh wow, yeah, I have positive feelings too. And so it's a good activity, but I think the importance may not be getting to synthesis for everybody, but allowing our experiences to breathe through some collective recall of facts and through some processing of emotions. So yeah, I think the emotional part of that debrief is something I always look forward to, because there's this almost cathartic release as people are like, hey, I'm allowed to talk about how I feel, and it's very validating.